So I just got out of a meeting for intake. Intake for CSS. If you don't know what CSS is, I would suggest y'all go and y'all look at my previous videos and it'll tell you. And it's not child services, protection services, that's CPS, not CSS. Just, you know. So tomorrow I will be going to welfare, and we made up this whole plan, and I'm loving the fact that she wrote it all out for me, and she gave me everything. She actually made a list for me as well. Well, actually the list is hers, but I guess her list is everything of my goals and achievements that I would like to make here, and I love that because if I can't be organized, we merging heads and they organizing for me on this other end. So yeah, she wrote out the goals, and that's one of the things that I love about shelters is because they give you goals. You know, you set out goals and they help you reach those goals, you know, step by step. And I love that about shelters, and that's why it's so organized here. You know, you can organize your mind, process it all, because you don't carrying, and that's what I get now. Carrying all your apples in one basket, carrying all your fruits in one basket can be so overbearing, and that's when, you know, I'm gonna use that word. That's when God comes into your life and sort it all out for you, you know. So the word of the day was circumcision. You know, we spoke a lot about circumcision and how circumcision plays a big, huge role in our lives. You know, you have to be able, you have to be willing to allow other people to circumcise you, especially in terms of these. So this is an example. You know, you have to allow other people in your life to circumcise your situation. That's an example of circumcision. Catch it. So, other people in your lives to circumcise your tasks, circumcise your events. The fact that she's coming out and she's writing down this list, writing down my goals, that's circumcising a part of my mind to where I'm going to lay this out for you. I'm going to lay this out for you. You're going to lay that out for me. You know, we're doing it all together. We're picking up the pieces. We're putting the pieces. You know, we're getting all the pieces together to where eventually, you know, stuff can get done. Stuff can go in motion. You have to be willing to allow others to circumcise you, circumcise your vision, circumcise your task. You have to allow others to do that for you. With you, not for you, but with you. Allow others to circumcise your mind, you know, circumcise you to the point where they can understand and God can get into, you know, the nitty-gritty. God is the foundation, you know, of this, and we're being circumcised spiritually. I'm merging spiritual and morally together right now, because spiritually is the same. Sometimes you have to use physical events to kind of give you a vision of what, I mean, you have to use moral events to give you a vision of the spiritual outlook. Sometimes you can use the spiritual outlook to give you a vision of the moral events. So yeah, that's a little word, but that's not my word for the day. I mean, that's okay, so that's the word of the day, but I really wanted to talk about this. So tomorrow I'll be getting a bus pass from her, and she'll be, I'll be going to welfare. I explained with CSS my situation, and now I got an appointment with them coming up on the on July 3rd. I have an appointment with them at 11:30 or 12:30. think at 12:30. I think it's at 12:30, maybe 11:30. I'm pretty sure it's 12:30 because I said the afternoon. 11:30 would be the morning. So yeah, 12:30 I have an appointment with them on the 3rd, and I will be doing my intake with them to where they can help me. They can help me and they can be of that support, you know, mentally help me and, you know, just keep me on track, you know. We mapped out some, well, I basically explained to them my past situation about, you know, my mental health and this and that and the third. So I felt like I was kind of getting, you know, making the caseworker kind of concerned about me, you know, how am I going to be able to maintain this job, because a big part of my issue, it's not an issue getting a job, it's the issue keeping the job. Like when I was younger, I was told I had short attention span, and throughout the whole time that I was, you know, on these medications, the reason why I was on Adderall when I was in high school was because I had short attention span and I couldn't really focus on one thing for a long time, so that's why they did prescribe me that medicine. And with that medicine, that's what Adderall did help with. It helped me stay focused on one thing for a long time, and that's where it helped me in my job. I kept my job because I could stay focused on one thing for a long time. You see how in my video I'm all over the place, I'm jumping from one thing to another. That's because of that. So, the goal to achieve keeping this job is for me to remain focused so that I can actually establish I can have some type of establishment to build on. You know, that's the goal in my life. I don't want to work a job and just work it and be there and have this temporary, you know, outlook of, oh yeah, I'm only going to be here for a certain amount of time. If I have to, then I will. But if I can establish a goal to keep me going long term to where I ain't got to think about jumping from job to job, that's what I would love to do. But when I was, that's what I would love to do. I would love to just keep an ongoing job. But like I said, I only created that little, what is it? I would tolerate a job. I would tolerate being there temporarily if I have to. Like if, you know, I can only work while my son is in school, and then I would have to eventually quit. And then, you know, if they don't take me back, I would have to, you know, save up whatever I made for that job during my school, while my son was in school. And then I would just keep those funds, save whatever I made, and then continue on from where I left off. So if my son goes back to school after the summer, I will work that duration of him in school, and I will save those funds, whatever I made, and put that off. And, you know, life is a process. You know, you got to take it one day at a time, and that's what I will do if I have to. But if they can help me to get a long-term job to where I could, you know, and it kind of makes it kind of adventurous thinking about that, because, you know, just working, you know, while your kid is in school and then working for that time, then stopping and going to another job, stopping and then going to another job. It's like, that's the thing. Like, when I was talking to this person at church, I was telling them how I always wanted to study abroad because I love traveling. I love being adventurous, you know, and this is kind of making it kind of interesting in a way. If you don't stay at one job for a long time, and then you're put in a position to where you can't stay at that job for a long time, it's just like, how much can I make at this job for this certain period of time, for this duration of time? How long can how much can I last for this amount of time? How much can I make for this amount of time? And then, you know, he's out of school, and then when he goes back to school, I'm working at a different job. It's building your experience. It's helping you, you know, in a way of you're being introduced to different jobs. It's helping you adapt your flexibility, and that's something you can build on your resume. It's not like you have to leave the job for a certain reason, so you'll have so much experience to come off. You'll have so much experience to go off of, like, at any job you go to, you know, so that's what it's about. But like I said, abroad, like studying abroad, I would love to, that's what I told the guy, I would love to study abroad because I'm more so about experience. I love jumping from one thing to another and just growing, and that's more so of why I'm so short-term attention span as well. Because once I do something and I master it, it gets boring to me, you know. If I'm not leveling up or nothing isn't changing if nothing isn't changing for me, whether it's my money or it's my atmosphere, if nothing isn't changing, I don't see changing, I get bored and I get this feeling of, you know, it's just, I got too much time on my hands and stuff like that. That's where I was, you know. But I feel like I'm farther from that. I know what to do now. Like, I feel like I'm not who I was. I've come so far from where I was, so when it kind of, you know, reflected on me back then, it took me a little bit back in life, but, so yeah, I was talking about so many things, so let's get back to the job, alright, so, like I said, tomorrow I will be going, I don't even know if I said this, but tomorrow I'll be going to welfare, and at welfare I will be actually giving them this letter, and this letter is a referral from the shelter, letting them know my situation, so if there's any services that they can give me these services and help me with any services. So one of the services that I want to basically get into is, you know, my mom talked to me about cash assistance. You know, this is something that I skipped over. Like, everybody living this lifestyle and receiving something I never even received before. I didn't even never heard of this, you know. Cash assistance, I feel like you have to work for it. But now I found out that cash assistance is provided. You can get cash assistance for your children. Just having them. They're giving them $300. I think the minimum is $300 per child for families like mother and child support on top of child support. Like I said, I don't know, so this is something I want to go and talk about and see if I can get some type of assistance. And they said, since I'm at the shelter, I guess it's needy family assistance. So I'm going to go down there, I'm going to apply for that, and I'm going to see what I can get with that. While I'm down there, like I said, this is only a time for me to do a whole bunch of, you know, I'm looking into resources and I'm figuring out what I can do, or, you know, grabbing anything that I can that will help me. But that's one of the things I really want to touch on, you know, what they told me about the cash assistance for needy families. And that sounds like a freaking, what does it sound like? It sounds like one of them things, like, I forget what it's called. It sounds like a loan type thing. Cash assistance for needy families. It sounds like a loan. But I guess they turned it to something where, because my mom specifically said that she's receiving welfare, like cash assistance from welfare for my niece. who is now in her custody. So she's receiving $300 for having my niece. And I don't, well, yeah, not like a adoption type thing, but more so of, it could be an adoption type thing because she's receiving custody. But she said it was from welfare. She said a lot of people is receiving cash assistance for their children. Just that, and I guess maybe it can also be because they're taking away income taxes soon. So that could be your portion to receive. And then in the end, it looked like that income tax. Like, I'm just going with the ideas and putting it together. So, yeah, huh? You okay? Yeah, so then I also want to go down there and I want to see if they have, well, this is not through them, but they said there should be some type of daycare through the YMCA. So I know when I was younger, my mom used to take me to the YMCA, me and my sister, while she was out handling her business. Of course, it wasn't that long. So they said the daycare was for 2 hours. When I remember, we had recess, we had lunch, and I think that's when my mom came and got us for dinner. But yeah, that's on about 2 hours. So there's a YMCA that provides child care for a limited amount of time, limited child care for a couple hours or something, so that you can go out, mothers can go out and handle their business, so that so that mothers can go out and handle their business. So that's another thing that I wanted to do, was to get him in child care so that I can go out and get him applied for Title 20 and find me a job. The first thing I need to do, though, is to find a job, get my interview, and then go out and look for a daycare. Go out and look for a daycare, know the location, and so, because some daycares have waiting lists, so I don't want to, I want to find a daycare that's immediately taking in kids, because I need to work. So I don't know whether I will get a daycare. I will look for a daycare first and then get a job. Okay, so get a job, look into the daycare system. Get him a spot in daycare, and then I will go to welfare, and because when you go apply for Title 20, you have to have the information, what daycare he'll be attending, and the amount of money that you're making and where you're working. Therefore, with that information, you'll get Title 20 just like that. So then, that's when I'll take him out the YMCA and I'll put him in daycare. I can take him out of Title 20, take him out of YMCA and put him in daycare, and go from there, so I can work part-time. Part-time is 4 hours, so I can work 4 hours, and, and then I'll have it set up like that. That's what I was explaining to her. So that, and then we were discussing housing. For housing, that's a whole different situation. I explained that to y'all, the situation I'm in with housing. But yeah, for housing, I may stay here and wait and build up my money to pay off anything that I need to pay off to get into EMHA. So, because they're asking me for a fee of $1,000, $1,200, so I can wait around and I can build up that amount of money for AMHA. I can give them that $1,000, $1,200 they need, and then I can go into I can reapply for AMHA and get into there. Or I could get on income base, because as soon as you as soon as you get a job, you're eligible to apply for any income-based housing. So I would get on income-based, and then I would do exactly as I did before and wait for, I can get on housing, and then, well, get me an income-based housing. I can pay off NHA, could say, forget NHA, and I could just keep on living my life and not worry about NHA at all, because there was one point in time in my life that, I could get on it. But by that time, I'm going to apply, I'm going to pay off the fee, and then I'm back on the wait list for another year. So I could do that and wait and weigh my options, like while I'm waiting over here doing what I'm doing, I'm on an NHA, and then eventually when he's like, I would say 11, 12 years old, then eventually I get acceptance to NHA, and boom. I could do that. So yeah, I'm going to talk to y'all next time. That was the meeting for today. Yeah. That's what I'm going through. That's my little update on my situation, business-wise. And I am hungry. Lunch is like in 20 minutes. So, yeah. And I will tell y'all how all of this plays out. And it plays out,